And then now we have our next wonderful speaker who is coming up. And how many of you got to do her Relax and Renew this morning? Did you partake in that? Oh, wonderful. Fantastic. Yes. Yes. Great way to start the day. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Well, Maureen will be coming up, and she is another. I just love people's journeys and what they do. You know, here she is. She's over here, and she's, got this degree in dance, and she's, in this world over here. But then she writes a book. She's getting messages from, deceased people. And then they write books on this, So it's like, okay, where does this come from? You just like, what happens? Doesn't that make you wonder what goes on? You're a normal person. Where does this come from? Do you ever wonder about that? They have a closet life somewhere, right? Something happens here. You ever wonder? Okay. So that means, you could do that too, right? You're normal, yet you talk to dead people. Anybody see dead people out there? Okay, come on. I don't either, but I hear things. I see things. I feel things. I know things. Right? Okay. Are we here? Come on. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay. Or maybe you're just so relaxed. Okay. But that's where we are. And that's what I love about this, is people's journeys. But so she has come from this world of, of her education and everything, and then she's launched into this other world, and this made it this mission. But what I love is now she's gone into helping all these people with this message. So first it started with, just messages from the other side, and then now it's with, heroes, with military, or people that have died in, 9/11, or things like that. So it's just wonderful, and how those messages have helped people in that way. And it's beautiful, beautiful work. So without further ado, her latest book, her first one was Live from the Other Side, that she co-authored, and then this one is Baby It's You, Messages from Deceased Heroes. Okay? So, Maureen McGill.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Ted and to Travis for helping me out today with the tech work, and thank you to Ozark Mountain Publishing for trusting these beautiful messages. So I didn't write this book, really. These messages came to me from widows, Gold Star mothers, and family members who lost someone in service, in a stateside accident or suicide. And it's this beautiful, loving message that they gave to their loved ones. And the press really wanted to know, how did they die? How's their family doing? What's going on? But when they got word, several of these people, when they got word that I was writing this book, they said, please, we got to tell you this story because it's so real. This experience was just so real for me, and we don't have anyone to tell, and nobody believes us. And so the word got out to these Gold Star mothers, and the Gold Star wives and mothers, and they started passing this on then to other people. So it was word of mouth how I collected the stories. And in this book, Baby It's You, Messages from Deceased Heroes, every story is attached to their song, which was their song. And that kind of comes out from where I've been in my life. I just finished my career now, 38 years as a dance professor at Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington, and just stepping into the ranks now of phased retirement, which feels great. But in the last 15 to 18 years, I've always believed that this awareness extends beyond the body. And I think that came from dance at first, where I could sense that energy field when you're moving with other people, and then it moved on from there. And I started to develop a course called Healing Arts of Mind and Body, because my body could not keep teaching dance at the level of technique that I did 38 years ago. So I developed this course, and it became really popular and explores different energy medicines and that work of blending the energy and the spirituality together. And I also became very interested in the International Association of Near-Death Studies, where we talked about yesterday, where these people flatline, they go over and they come back. So for about 4 years, I went to every single meeting at the Seattle Ions and tried to learn as much as I can about this awareness that extends beyond the body. And then I would take it and put it into some of my choreography and some of the work that I did at the university and kind of blend that place. And then a first sabbatical project came along, which was Live from the Other Side, and I collaborated with a gal in the healthcare industry who works with assisted living. She's actually the CEO. And she's had a near-death experience where she can see and sense those on the other side. So I said, Noel, I think I need your assistance in writing this book because of your connection to the other side. So together we wrote that book. Then I began to explore that whole area of the intuition and developed a tool that I worked with, as Justine has with the tarot cards, and it's really taken off for me in the last 15 years, so that's been exciting. And people were starting to come to me and they were saying, can you tell me what that message is from the other side, from my loved one? So I would put my cards down and I would try to read it, and I'm not a medium, I'm not somebody who has that direct portal of communication, but I somehow sensed that I could get that message for them that was healing, and it was releasing some of their grief. As long as it released some of their grief, that was what was most important to me, and that was what the intention was. So anyway, I don't know, in the last 10 years in my choreography, I started to get interested in military themes, and I did different pieces about destruction and war and the loneliness and the grief and all that heaviness that dealt with war, and also kind of the celebration after war and the love connections that happen for couples when they're separated and they come together. And I created these in dances as I went along the years. And so then I thought, you know what? I looked at Nola when we finished that book and I said, I think I know what my next book is. I want to work with military heroes. So in this book, she called him baby and he called her baby. And that's why I called it Baby It's You. Some of you will remember that song back from the Shirelles of Baby It's You. You might remember that song way back there. And so I used that theme of that song, Baby It's You, Messages from Deceased Here. So that's how I got the title. And it was word of mouth how the stories came. And I created a beautiful video with a fellow by the name of Jeffrey Piddle in Los Angeles. He got on board with my project because he has a heartfelt connection with vets. And he said, Maureen, I'd like to help you with this. So together we collaborated. We probably made 3 or 4 changes in the video just working with him. I can't tell you what an honor it was to work with somebody at that level of professionalism. So what we did is we took some of the songs, which was their songs, and we put those in the background so you'll see it. And we're going to be able to sit back and look at the images and kind of sense what this was about. But I want to tell you a little bit about the video before I read you the poem, which tells you how these couples meet and then how they meet now. So in the video, we start out with what I feel is the vulnerability of these couples that are in this book. Many of them that marry at 16, 17, maybe 18 or 19, and then they're gone in no time whatsoever. And so I kind of went back through the ages and I kind of thought, in dance, where did I kind of see a real vulnerability? And I kind of saw it back in the 60s on American Bandstand. So I'm going to start out with that old song, Just Like Romeo and Juliet. We're going to take a look at that and watch that dance and kind of celebrate that time and that vulnerability. From there in the video, we go into generic images of couples coming and going, parting and leaving, and it's from different generations. It is not from the fellows from this book, from the soldiers from this book, but it's from different generations. And then we go into the sad part in the book where sometimes people don't come back, or they're coming back with the flag draped over the casket. One of our Gold Star mothers of the book, Nadia McCaffrey, she fought in Washington, D.C. during the Bush administration so that we could get those flags photographed when they came back over during the war. And I honor her in this film for that. And so you have some images of that. And then we move from that place of loss to that place of connection. And it's a song by Janet Jackson, believe it or not, called Together Again. But it was one of the songs in the book that a couple just really felt like was their song. So I honored this particular widow in the book when I put that song in the video. Then we go into the video and we see images of the soldiers. They're a bit distorted, and they're distorted purposely, but you'll kind of see it. So just kind of wrap your heart around it. Today I want to just wrap our hearts. I'm not going to be giving you a lot of lecture in terms of a lot of information or material, but we're going to just sense into our hearts and sense into our beings. We're going to do, it's a little bit difficult at the end of the video because every single soldier's name is going to come up. But I am thanking them here today as I am thanking you guys here and all the helpers that have brought you here into this room today. So thank you for that, and thank you to those soldiers because they're a real part of this video, and I know that they're lining up. I've been told by many people that they've lined up today to watch with you the video. So then at the end of the video, it's a little tough because each of those names come up. So when they come up, maybe place your hand over your heart if that feels right, or close your eyes and just send them love. Just send them love and light, and know that they're with their loved ones as your loved ones are with you. Then when we finish that, we're going to take a deep breath. So I don't want you to run out of the room, but we're going to take a deep breath, maybe stand up, and we're going to do a little exercise together where we can maybe connect to the other side together, and I will share maybe a little story or two for you. So that's a little bit about the journey, A Baby It's You, Messages from Deceased Hero. I've had a chance to share the video with the International Association of Near-Death Studies. It got very close. One of the stories was selected to maybe be part of a project called the Angel Unlimited Project that Roma Downey people were working on last fall. But we got about this close, and then it didn't work for our participant. Just the circumstances kind of went beyond our control. But I still feel that we're going to move forward with one of the stories and somehow bring them to you in a dramatic way that would bring the richness and the grief that will be released for these beautiful wives. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start out with this poem that I wrote, and I called it Just Like Romeo and Juliet. And in the poem, the neat thing about the poem is that this is where the couples really met. So these are all true ways that they met, and then how they meet now. So you'll get a chance to kind of sense what the book is about, because it's how they met and then how they meet now, without me having to go through all the stories. So here we go, Just Like Romeo and Juliet, like the song by the Reflections. All right, now I'm speculating, wonder what tomorrow's really gonna bring. You know what? We met in the laundry room in college. He carried my underwear to the dorm room. We met in high school at a wrestling tournament, through my cousin, at Walmart where we worked, probably down the road, at a country bar on a Thursday night, at a costume party with a mask and a hat, on the dance floor. On Instant Messenger, I was 17 and he was 19. Through his best friend, Jeremy. In grade school when we played on the playground. On Facebook. And we were married after 1 month in the pawn shop. On a blind date. On New Year's Eve. In the convertible when I stopped at a red light, he pulled up right next to me and jumped out. I love that one. At Burger King, where we worked at age 16. On a website called Hot or Not, where we exchanged photos. When he was a football player and I was a cheerleader. You know, we meet now in my dreams, in the hallway when I smell him, in bed when I feel his skin touch mine, when I see his silhouette, his head, his hand held out, his arms like he was holding a blanket for me, when the song comes on the radio, in the elevator or in church, when I find pennies on the ground in the weirdest places, when the basketball bounces on the court and nobody's there, when I see him staring at me from the waist up in bed, when I find the Dutch key ring in the middle of the desert from him, when I meet the police officer that's wearing your memory bracelet, when I hear your voice saying, my son, when the kids see you standing on the porch, when I find the heart-shaped sticker on a leaf, when he comes to me in a dream with a message, when I hear his voice singing his favorite song, Just Like Romeo and Juliet, Just Like Romeo and Juliet. All right, so we're going to take a look at the video. I want you just to sit back and relax and enjoy the images and the sounds. Thank you for staying with that. You know that love never dies, and they're truly with us. And we've lost so many loved ones in our lives. I'm sure many people here on this path have lost a loved one. But it's those gentle messages that give us hope, that give us light, to know that yes, our bodies change, our bodies dissolve, but that spiritual body is still with us. And what a beautiful conference for me to be able to show this because of the knowingness that you have in this audience. So thank you for honoring that. When I showed it at the university, the dancers were performing in front, and I was hoping that that video would really turn out for you, that I could bring that to you here. But at the lighting of the stage lighting, it wasn't as accessible for you to watch. But it was just a beautiful ending where the three soldiers actually walked into the light, and the widow was there holding the flag. And it was just such a beautiful and dramatic thing as the light just shone and got higher and higher and higher. So it made me feel that, yeah, they're in the light, they're with us, in that light. So we got to take a deep breath now and kind of shift the energy a little bit, huh? So in your chairs right now, I know it seems kind of funny, but if you could just put your things down for a second, and we can go on with that mercy, mercy if you want. And we're going to bring our hands upward. Inhale. There's my man, Marvin. And exhale, bring it down. This time we're going to look up at the panels. Inhale, look up. Bring that energy in because we know you're with us. We know you're with us. And exhale, bring it down. Now I'm going to ask you to do something for me if you're comfortable. If you don't know the person that's sitting next to you, I'd like you to stand up and go walk over to somebody that you don't know and just sit next to them for a moment. We're going to do a little exercise. If you know that person, then I guess you could sit next to them or just stand up and stretch a minute and then go back down. All right, so let's kind of do some musical chairs. Bring the level down just a little bit. Bring the music down just a little bit. You can do it through. Do we have anybody that needs a partner? Anybody else that needs a partner? He needs a partner over there, so can we join it? Okay, there's somebody else that needs a partner? All right, so I'd like you to sit down next to this person now. I'll bring it down just a little bit lower. Jen, bring it down just a little bit lower, even lower. All right, so I'd like you to sit down next to that person. I know you can get their name if you like. Now we're going to do a little exercise just to kind of connect here to that knowingness of who this person is. So it'll feel like a guessing game maybe, and maybe it won't. Maybe some of you are probably very intuitive, so you'll be able to really pick that up right away, but we're going to just do a little guessing game. Think of it as that way. And so if you're comfortable, and you don't have to do this, I'd like you to hold their hands. If you're not comfortable, that's fine. And I've got Marvin in the background. I'm going to kind of leave him down there a little bit. So in this little message right now, let's bring it down just a little bit more. I want you to find out, without talking now, I'd like you to stop talking. I'd like you to find out what you know about your partner. And there's 3 questions. What music do they like? What's their favorite smell of cooking? What's their favorite smell of cooking? And the 3rd question is, have they lost somebody they really, really deeply loved? And just see if you can pick that up. 3 questions. What is the music that was their genre, that they loved? What was the music that they loved in their life? What is the favorite cooking smell of that person? And don't say anything until I finish up, okay? And then the last question is, did they lose somebody they really deeply loved? And see if you can pick that up. And you don't have to hold hands. You can just kind of connect with it if you don't want to. It's up to you. Okay, and begin. So just be quiet for a moment. You're not talking. I'm just going to see what you can pick up about your neighbor. Maybe you're going to pick up something else. Maybe you're going to pick up that they picked up their mail this morning. Who knows? Okay, so let's do silence now. We're just going to do silence. All right, I'd like you to open your eyes. Believe it or not, I want you to touch the floor. Is that weird or what? But touch the floor. Yeah, with your hands. It kind of is a grounding kind of thing that we do. Just touch your floor. All right, so now share, if you didn't already. There's a few groups that were pushing the boundaries. No, just kidding. No problem. No problem. We got to lighten it up. So talk for a minute. Let's see if you picked up anything. Let's see what happens. The music. Maybe you want to start out with the music.
Just out of curiosity, what is your favorite cooking smell?
I really like the smell of barbecue, and I like vanilla.
Vanilla, that's what I picked up from you.
You got it. You're right on. That's beautiful.
And the Isley brothers popped into mind. I have no idea.
That's my brother. That's not me, but that's my brother.
No way.
And he's real close to me. Thank you, hon. We got a hug after this. Okay, so how close are we? How close are we? Is there anybody? Okay, you're still talking. I'll give you another minute here to talk.
And we don't know each other, except for a name and
So tell the audience that. We'll tell the audience that in a second. All right. Okay, we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up, and you can talk about it later. All right, can we wrap it up? Let's wrap it up. Here we go. Now we have somebody here that'd like to share. So this couple right here, we got Sherry and Lewis. And could you share with us so we can have quiet, please? Quiet? Thank you. All right, Sherry has something to share with us.
I do.
Okay.
I don't?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, do share with us.
He's from Oklahoma. I don't know him except for here. I'm from Oregon.
Oh, we have a mic, so we're going to have to do it on the mic.
Hi there. I gotta turn it on. Am I ready? Yes. I'm Sherry from Oregon. This is Lewis from Oklahoma. Yeah, okay. So we're new friends. And
Quiet, please.
he picked pie for me, which is dead on. And I picked bread for him. What else did we pick?
And a loved one. Was there a loved one that you felt close to?
Oh, no, but our music was perfect. We both picked exactly what the other person wanted for music.
Which was?
Country Western, The Temptations.
And you picked it up, exactly, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
And our loved ones, neither of us said we had anything in there. I lost both my parents, my best friends, in 2012, and he lost his earlier than that.
Wow.
So we're good seatmates.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Somebody else will share with us? Anybody close? Nobody wants to share. Come on, be brave. Okay.
All three of us lost our
A
animal.
little bit louder.
All three of us lost our animal companions.
Oh. So you were able to pick that up with each other?
Within the last 2 years, yeah.
Wow, within the last 2 years. How about the music? Were you able to pick up the music?
As a matter of fact, what popped in my mind was that she would like country music, but I thought, oh, maybe not. You know, maybe she's a little bit too young for that or whatever. And so I guessed something else, but then it turned out she really does like country music. So I need to trust my voices that I'm hearing.
That's great. Another couple?
After 52 years of marriage, we really don't misunderstand anything about each other. But I was born about 60 miles south of here. My wife, Maggie, here was born in Belgium, and we met about 25 years after our birth in Europe. And as I said, we've been husband and wife for 52 years. But our favorite music was classical music. Our favorite smells, odors were baking bread. And let's see, what was the third one?
Your loved one. Did you lose a loved one?
Oh, yes, both of us thoroughly adored our mothers and respected our mothers, and both have passed away, as our fathers also. So we think of them a lot.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else that didn't know each other that could share? How many were not even close? One more, can we do one more? Okay, thank you. Oh, am I gonna get it there?
Hi, Maureen. Great job.
Thank you.
Jim, right here next to me. Of course, we've never met out of Adam. First thing he had said to me is, "You recently lost someone in your life, and last Thursday, one of my best friends passed away." And he hit it right on the nail.
Right on the nail.
And as far as music, classic rock and roll, right there. And scents, fresh bread and bacon, everything. You want to say anything, Jim?
Yeah, he's pretty much hit it right on the head on classic rock and roll. He actually knew I was a Bob Seger fan. Crazily enough, yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, he was right on. The flowery scent, actually, that one got me because I wasn't really even thinking about that, but I always have like fresh cut flowers. I put them in, and I have this vase my late mother made, and I put it in there. I wasn't even thinking about it. He picked right up on it.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's terrific. All right, is there anybody else that's dying to know? All right, well, thank you for trying the exercise. It's amazing what we can find about what we know about someone. I tell my students who kind of think about this whole intuition thing, they go, "We don't know about that, Maureen, If it's not in the book, we don't understand that." But what I tell them is this, is, when you walk into that party and you know that, you're talking to somebody like that, and all of a sudden you turn around and there's somebody staring at you, and you know that there's somebody staring at you, and you turn around and they're there, And then they go, "Oh, now we get it, now we understand it." But it's that awareness that extends beyond the body. You're very tuned in here. You came to this wonderful conference to be inspired on the spiritual, to really blend that spiritual and that scientific together. So that's the blend that and that you're so in tune to. But, tuning into our loved ones really is easy, and to pick up that fragrance or that smell, the fragrance or the smell.
It helps in all aspects of your life. It really does.
It helps in all aspects of your life, right?
I was self-employed for 26 years, and it made my business.
So she was self-employed for 26 years, and it made her business. So it really helped her to know that. I know that my co-author in the first book, as the CEO, said, when I sit down in an interview, I look at their resume, but I feel before I hire that person. I go right to my heart chakra. I feel whether or not they can produce in the way that they need for that job, or they're going to open from that heart the way that she needs in that job. So, you do it. You do it in your work, in your lives. But it's good to know that is there, especially when we're going through loss. Because all of a sudden, death can rock our world, and everything just stops, completely stops. I know in my own experience in sensing the loved ones, of course, I've been working with the cards and the intuition, so that's been a great tool for me. But the real catch for me was when I had the experience that this really came alive. And then we had a terrible tragedy at the university, and I was having to go to the funeral by myself. So I jumped in the car, and I live near the waterfront in the Tacoma area. And I kind of just heard a voice. I didn't hear any real voices. And I'll say, "Don't go to the waterfront. It's a beautiful sunny day, and it's going to be crowded, and it's going to take longer to get to the university." And then I said, "Oh, no, I'm going to go to the waterfront. I need to be by the water." So I'm driving along the waterfront, and all of a sudden I see a group of GIs running. They're just running. They're working out along the waterfront. We have a base, Fort Lewis, in the Tacoma area. And in front of me is a group of young women in an SUV. And I'm thinking in my mind, don't get distracted by the guys running. Don't get distracted. At that moment, I hear my dad's voice on the other side say, "Pump your brakes, Maureen, pump your brakes." She, of course, in front of me slams her brakes, and I go into her, but it's just a slight, little fender bender, nothing really. Of course, I'm sitting there frozen. I could care less about the accident. I just heard my dad's voice, So we pulled over, everything was fine. It was just, but my dad was in the back seat telling me to pump my brakes. So they're with us. For me, it was like a confirmation that I know that this work is alive and through. So I'd like to share with you one of the stories from the book, maybe two kind of quick stories from the book. But one story is from Nadia McCaffrey. And Nadia McCaffrey is the Gold Star mother that I said that she was on 60 Minutes during the early part of the war. Her son, Patrick, was a mechanic in California. And after 9/11, he decided that he was going to join the National Guard. So he joined the National Guard. He had 2 beautiful children, and he joined the National Guard. And he didn't come back from the war. And Nadia had this feeling, when he left, that he wasn't going to come back. She just kind of knew it. She had a sense of it, and he didn't come back. And I'm kind of condensing the story for you, but it's about a year after his passing. And Patrick was just a really giving person in his life, really gave to everybody and everything. But Nadia has this waking vision. She said, Maureen, it's not even a dream, but it's a waking vision. And she said, I sat up in bed, and the hair on my arms just stood right up. And she saw Patrick standing there in his fatigues, leaning into her, saying, my son. And she wakes up and she thinks, oh, my grandson, because it's his son. He's got a son and he's got a daughter. So there must be something wrong with my grandson, So she gets on the phone to her daughter-in-law, Sylvia, and Sylvia said, the grandson's fine, there's nothing wrong. She goes to bed the next night, and mind you, it's not a dream. She's told me, I'm half asleep and I'm half awake. So she says, I'm really more awake than I am. There he is again, and it's so real. Again, the hair in her arms standing straight up, and she hears him say, my son. Okay, so then she thinks, this is it, I'm going to talk to my grandson, because maybe Sylvia doesn't really know what's going on. So she calls the grandson, and he's fine. Everything's fine. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong, Grandma. Everything's great. Everything's great. So you can imagine she has the dream vision a third time. Same thing. It's so clear and it's so real, just like the stories that these women told me in this book. It's all so real. He stands there and he says, my son, for the third time. And so now she's just kind of shaking about it and wondering what the heck's going to happen. And she gets a phone call. She gets a phone call from a young man, and he's crying on the other end of the phone. It's a young man. He's about 17 years old. And he's just crying, my dad died in Iraq, and you're my grandma. And she goes, who are you? Who's your mom? He said, my mom is Monique. My mom is Monique. And Nadia knew right then Monique was somebody that he had dated in high school. And when they broke up, Nadia could not understand why they broke up, and neither could Patrick. He goes, Mom, I don't know. She wants to move away. She doesn't want to be around. I don't know, Mom. And he didn't know. He didn't know that he had another child. Monique never told him. Never told him. So here, Patrick comes from the other side to tell Mom about the grandson. So what could the grandma do? The grandma could close that door and never allow that love to come into the family. But no, she invites him to come and meet his half-siblings. So he meets the half-siblings. She said, Maureen, I couldn't believe it. He looked like Patrick. He ordered the same food that Patrick would. He had the same football team that Patrick loved. He didn't even know his dad, His mom told him who the dad was, and that's how he found out. But it was really quite beautiful. And so she brings the family together, and it was this love bond, Some families would not do that. Some families would not do that. They would not bring them together like that, but this family did. So that was really quite beautiful. Nadia has been a spokesperson. I can't thank her enough for contributing to this book. She's set up veterans villages across the United States in support of it. She's on the phone every day helping vets get through the system, which is a difficult system. I also have to thank Reverend Bill McDonald, who wrote the foreword for my book. He's in the 3 surviving heroes. So there was 3 surviving heroes that gave stories, as well as two from 9/11 that also gave me stories. And Reverend Bill McDonald, he's a fascinating guy. Warrior, A Spiritual Journey. He's just self-published with his book, but he's a remarkable Vietnam veteran that is instrumental and quite a storyteller. If you ever hear him coming through your city, he's from California and is a great, great storyteller. And he wrote the beautiful foreword, who said, love's knocking on heaven's door. And so, and that's the story of Nadia and Patrick. And there's another story that Bill shared about the symbol of an owl that comes through that they know is Patrick, which is quite beautiful in the book. And then I got a story about 9/11 that I've always been touched by. I can't use their real names, but it's kind of about Tina and Vinny. And Tina and Vinny grew up in the same neighborhood together. They started school from kindergarten all the way through high school. And when they finished high school, I think they went to college, and then they got a job at the Cantor Fitzgerald financial firm at the 105th floor of the Twin Towers. And they both got jobs there, and they were just pals. They never got married. They were never lovers or anything, but they were just pals. And at 93, Tina decided to quit because there was those bombings at the Twin Towers, and she said, "That's it, I'm out of there." So she left. But Vinny stayed, and he was on that 105th floor the day that it happened. And so Tina's dad was a fireman, and he looked on those streets. And I don't know if we have experiencers here of that tragic day, but the dust was everywhere, and the light was coming through, and it was hard, and people were holding up photographs, and you were walking through streets and streets. And it was just really horrific. And Tina said, "I just walked those streets to see if I could get any sign of Vinny." They did find Vinny's watch, but they didn't find Vinny. So this is 8 days after he's passed. She's walking along, and there's a crowd on the sidewalk, and she's thinking that this experience is from the crowd. And all of a sudden, she feels a hand come around her waist like that. And she turns, and there's nobody on her right, and there's nobody on her left, but she feels it. She feels that grip. And then she hears Vinny's voice in her ear. "Hey, buddy, hey, tell everybody I love them. Just tell everybody I love them. All my buddies, all my friends, tell them I love them. I love you too, You're my pal. I want you to do that. I want you to do that for me. Please tell them I love them." And she said, "Maureen, at that moment, when I heard his voice as clear as a whistle, I knew he was with me. I knew he was with me." And she said, again, it was so real. And the relief of the grief, it just came right off those shoulders. And that's what really felt good about it. So those are two of the shorter stories from the book. And I'd like to kind of end today with a chance for us to kind of tune into a love place in our hearts. So again, let's take our arms, inhale and lift it up. And then exhale, bring it down. Get out. I want you to be happy. I want you to be in that love vibration, because that's what it's all about, right? So comments from you? Any questions or comments? It's hard to say anything after this, isn't it? But thank you so much for being here, and thank you for participating in the way that you did. It's a early morning that you came down in the clouds. I brought them from Tacoma for you. I'm glad I'm still here. After yesterday's lecture, I'm glad I'm still here. And I hope to be here for a while. Hope I'm in the right place at the right time, as everyone. And I wish you the best in the rest of the workshops, blending that spirituality and science together. We're going to have a marvelous group of speakers that are coming up here.
Yes, I'm in heaven. And my heart beats so that I can hardly speak. And I seem to find that.
So, if I had the answer, I would tell you right now. She said, sometimes I get clear voices and I know who they are. Other times I get voices and I don't know who they are. And who knows? And they give you information. I think there's messengers that come with us. I think there's spirit guides, as I'm sure you found out in the different lectures. And they give us messages. I think there's loved ones that give us messages. They have jobs to do, just like we have jobs to do. But if we had the answers here, we don't have the answers. And if somebody tells you they know, better question them. That's what I say. Right. Well, thank you again, and I look forward to it.